There is an uncomfortable truth that a lot of people do not want to hear. You can make $3,000 a month. You can make $5,000 a month. You can even make $10,000 a month. But if you spend almost all of it every single month, then financially you are still standing very close to zero. On the other hand, there are people who earn less than you, but consistently save 40%, 50%, or even 60% of their income. After a few years, the financial gap between those two people becomes massive. That is why today I want to talk about one of the most famous numbers in the FIRE community. FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And that number is 50% of your income. It sounds extreme. Most people already struggle to save 5% or 10%. Now imagine being told to keep half of everything you earn. It sounds like a miserable life. But that is not really the point. The goal is not to make your life painful. The goal is to create a large enough gap between what you earn and what you need to live. And if you maintain that gap long enough, that gap can eventually buy back your freedom. Let us say you earn $6,000 per month. You live on $3,000. You save $3,000. Over 1 year, your total income is $72,000. You spend $36,000. And you save $36,000. In very simple terms, after 1 year of working, you have saved an amount equal to roughly 1 full year of your current living expenses. Of course, this is only a rough calculation. It does not include taxes. It does not include inflation. It does not include investment returns. And it does not include unexpected life events. But it shows you the power of a high savings rate. If someone saves only 10% of their income, it may take many years to accumulate the equivalent of 1 year of living expenses, but someone saving 50% is moving much faster. This is where many people get it wrong. They think, if I want financial freedom, I just need to make more money. Not exactly. Earning more definitely helps, but financial independence depends on the gap between your income and your lifestyle, not just the size of your paycheck. Someone earning $15,000 per month but spending $14,500 is still financially fragile. Someone earning $8,000 and living comfortably on $3,500 is in a completely different position. So do not look only at income. Look at this. At the end of every month, what percentage of your income do you actually keep? That number matters more than people think. I see the same pattern again and again. When someone makes $2,000 per month, they say, if I could just make $3,000, I would be fine. Then they reach $3,000. They upgrade their phone. They eat out more often. They rent a nicer apartment. They buy a more expensive car. Then they say, actually, I probably need $5,000 to feel comfortable. Then they reach $5,000, and their lifestyle expands again. Then $7. Then $10. Eventually, they make 5 times more than they used to, but they still feel broke. That is called lifestyle creep. Your income rises, and your standard of living rises with it. The dangerous part is that none of the individual expenses feel ridiculous. Of course I should live in a nicer place now. I work hard, so I deserve better food. I can afford a better car. Each decision sounds reasonable. But when you add them all together, you destroy your ability to build wealth. I like a very simple rule. Every time your income increases, do not allow the entire increase to flow into your lifestyle. For example, you make $4,000 per month. Then your income rises to $5,000. Instead of immediately spending the extra $1,000, keep at least $500 of it. That means 50% of the raise goes straight into savings or investments. You still improve your lifestyle, but your assets improve too. That is the difference between using money to look rich and using money to actually become rich. The internet makes people addicted to dramatic success stories. Someone turns $5,000 into $500,000. Someone buys the perfect stock. Someone builds a startup and sells it. Someone buys Bitcoin early. Those stories are exciting, but most real-world wealth is not built that way. It is built through boring habits, tracking expenses, cooking at home, investing every month, avoiding stupid debt, building an emergency fund, increasing income, and repeating the same process for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. That is the difficult part, not because it is complicated, because it is boring. And people with weak discipline are always searching for something more exciting. They want speed, a hack, a secret, a hot investment. a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But sustainable wealth is usually not built through emotional decisions. It is built through systems. Do not spend all day debating whether you should stop buying a $4 coffee while you are paying $800 too much for housing every month. Personal finance has to be optimized from the top down. Housing, transportation, food, debt, recurring subscriptions. That is where the biggest leverage is. Imagine you make $5,000 per month. Your rent is $2,000. Your car costs $700. Food costs $1,000. Subscriptions and shopping cost another $1,000. Now your monthly spending is close to $4,700. Cutting a few coffees will not save you. But imagine you reduce housing from $2,000 to $1,500. You reduce transportation from $700 to $400. And food from $1,000 to $700. You just freed up $1,100 every single month. That is $13,200 per year. Over 10 years, without even counting investment returns, that is $132,000. 3 changes. That is leverage. I know this is not sexy. There is no secret here. There is no advanced financial strategy. But it works. Let us say an average restaurant meal costs you $20. 2 meals a day is $40. Over 1 month, that is around $1,200. If you cook most of your meals at home and reduce that cost to $500 or $600, you may keep an extra $600 to $700 every month. That is more than $7,000 a year. That is real money. And I am not saying you should never eat out. Nobody is saying you cannot meet friends. Nobody is saying you cannot go on dates. Nobody is saying you cannot reward yourself. The key is frequency. If 99% of your meals depend on restaurants and delivery apps, your spending becomes much harder to control. One simple solution is to create a rotating meal plan. 3 dinner options, 2 lunch options, a few easy breakfasts. You do not need to reinvent your meals every day. The fewer decisions you make, the easier the system becomes to maintain. This is a psychological trap. You feel sad. You buy something. You feel stressed. You order food. You feel bored. You open Amazon. You feel lonely. You go shopping. Slowly, spending money becomes your brain's default source of dopamine. And once that happens, saving 50% becomes very difficult. I like this principle. Build hobbies that do not depend heavily on spending money. Walk. Exercise. Read. Listen to podcasts. Learn a skill. Cook. Spend time with friends at home. Go hiking. Build personal projects. It sounds simple, but it eliminates a huge amount of emotional spending. And there is something important here. Living below your means does not mean living a boring life. It means you stop allowing companies to convince you that every time you want to feel good, you need to swipe a card. This is the part I really want to emphasize. There is a dangerous type of financial advice that tells people, just save, just cut, just sacrifice more. But you can only cut so much. You cannot reduce your food bill to 0. You cannot reduce housing costs below 0. You cannot eliminate every expense from your life. So after you optimize your spending, the next step has to be increase your income. That is the bigger lever. Imagine you earn $3,000 per month and spend $2,000. You save $1,000. That is about a 33% savings rate. You could try to cut spending to $1,500, but you may have to sacrifice a lot just to save another $500. Now imagine you increase your income to $5,000 while keeping spending at $2,000. Now you save $3,000. Your savings rate rises to 60%. That is why side hustles, freelance work, small businesses, high-income skills, and additional income streams are so important in the FIRE movement. Do not become a genius at saving $2 a day while refusing to learn a skill that could increase your income by $2,000 a month. That is not financial discipline. That is thinking too small. One of the more interesting strategies is called geographic arbitrage. In simple terms, you keep earning at the level of a high-paying market while living somewhere with lower costs. Imagine you have a remote job paying $7,000 per month. If you live in an expensive city, your total monthly expenses might be $5,000. But if you move somewhere that still offers a good quality of life, and your total expenses drop to $3,000, you have instantly increased your savings by $2,000 every month. That is $24,000 per year. Over 5 years, that is $120,000 before investment returns. You did not make one extra dollar. You simply changed where you live. This is why geographic freedom and remote work can become enormous financial advantages. But you still have to think carefully. Taxes, insurance, travel costs, family obligations, quality of life. The goal is not to move to the cheapest place possible. The goal is to optimize cost relative to quality of life. Imagine you save $3,000 every month. If you leave all of that money sitting in a checking account for 20 years, you may miss out on the power of long-term investing. That is why the FIRE community often focuses on automatic investing into diversified, low-cost assets that match your risk tolerance and time horizon. In the United States, many people use accounts such as 401ks, Roth IRAs, and broad market index funds. But the main point is not the name of the account. The main point is this: saving needs a system. Investing needs a system too. I like automation. Money comes in. One portion goes to expenses. One portion goes to emergency savings. One portion is automatically invested. Do not wait until the end of the month and ask, how much is left for savings? Usually, not much will be left. Reverse the process. Save first. Spend what remains. A very common mistake is that people sound confident when markets are rising. Their portfolio is green. Everyone talks about long-term investing. Then the market drops 20%. The news turns negative. A portfolio that was worth $200,000 falls to $160,000. Suddenly, all that long-term philosophy disappears. People sell. Then they wait for the market to feel safe again before buying back in. But by the time it feels safe, prices may have already recovered. Long-term investing is not difficult when everything looks good. It becomes difficult when you have to watch your portfolio fall sharply and still follow your plan. Of course, this does not mean blindly holding every asset forever. The point is that your asset allocation should fit your risk tolerance from the beginning, so normal market volatility does not force you into emotional decisions. Imagine you drive a $15,000 car. You really want a $50,000 car. You believe that once you own it, you will feel happier every day. You buy it. The first month feels amazing. You take photos. You clean it constantly. You look at it every morning. 6 months later, it is just your car. Human beings adapt incredibly fast. A new phone, a new home, a new watch, new clothes. Eventually, all of them become normal. That is why buying more stuff does not create endlessly increasing happiness. Instead, I prefer spending money on 3 things: experiences, time, health, a memorable trip, more time with family, a course that improves your skills, a gym membership, a tool that saves you hours of work, or even hiring someone to clean your home. Some people think paying for cleaning is wasteful, but imagine you pay $150 per month and get 8 hours of your time back. If those 8 hours help you rest, spend time with your children, learn a new skill, or create $1,000 in new income, then that $150 may be a very intelligent expense. Sometimes the best use of money is not buying things. It is buying back time. Imagine your goal is $1 million. You think, once I reach $1 million, I will become a completely different person. You might be disappointed, because the day your account crosses $1 million, you are still you. Same body, same family, same fears, same unresolved problems. Money does not automatically give you a purpose, but it gives you something else. Choice. You can say no to a job you hate. You can take a few months off. You can fire a toxic client. You can spend more time caring for your parents. You can try starting a business. You can accept a lower-paying job that you actually enjoy. That is the real value of financial independence. Not showing off a bank balance. Not buying a Lamborghini. It is reducing the number of times in your life you have to say, I do not want to do this, but I do not have a choice. Online, FIRE can look beautiful. Save. Invest. Retire at 40. Travel the world. But reality is more complicated. Healthcare can be a major issue. If you live in the United States and retire before becoming eligible for Medicare at age 65, health insurance can become a significant expense. Then there is the issue of accessing retirement accounts, taxes, early withdrawal penalties, sequence of returns risk, meaning the market falls sharply during the first years of your retirement. High inflation, supporting aging parents, children, health problems, all of these need to be considered. So do not look at one spreadsheet and say, I have $1.2 million. I can retire now. Test bad scenarios. What happens if the market falls 30%? What happens if your expenses rise 20%? What happens if your side income disappears? What happens if you face a $50,000 medical expense? A strong financial independence plan should not work only when life goes perfectly. It should survive a few punches. You reach $500,000. Then you think $1 million would be safer. You reach $1 million. Then you think $2 million is better. Then you reach $2 million, and you start comparing yourself to someone with $5 million. Then $10 million. If you never define what enough means, you can play this game until you die. This is one question I think everyone should ask. What does an enough life look like for you? Not for someone else. Not for Instagram. Not for your coworkers. Not for your neighbors. For you. Where do you want to live? How much do you actually need each month? How much time do you want with your family? Do you really need a $1 million home? Do you really need a $100,000 car? Or are you buying those things because you want other people to believe you are successful? If you cannot define enough, then the more you earn, the easier it becomes to become a slave to a more expensive lifestyle. Do not force yourself from 5% to 50% in 1 month. You will probably fail. Increase it gradually. If you are saving 10%, try 15%, then 20%, then 25%, then 30%. Every time your income rises, save at least half of the increase. Optimize your 3 biggest expenses. Increase your income. Automate your investments. And most importantly, do not destroy the system for short-term emotional pleasure. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You are not saving just to see a bigger number in your account. You are buying time, option, peace of mind, the ability to say no, the ability to walk away from a toxic job, the ability to spend 1 year testing a new project, the ability to be with your family when they need you, the ability to sleep at night without worrying about next month's bills. That is what money is really for. Not more stuff. More control over your life. So I do not care whether you are starting at $2,000, $5,000, or $10,000 per month. The more important questions are, how much are you keeping? What are you doing with the money you keep? And do you have enough discipline to repeat that process for years? Do not wait until you make more money. Do not wait for the perfect market. Do not wait until next year. Do not wait until you are debt-free to start learning how to manage money. Start with the numbers you have today. Because financial freedom is not created by one genius decision. It is built through thousands of small, correct decisions repeated for long enough. I still believe in a very simple idea. Do not wait until you are perfect to start. Start, and become better through action. And if you are currently spending almost everything you earn, do not lie to yourself and believe that making more money will automatically solve the problem. It will not. Making more while still spending everything only makes you a richer version of the same problem. The goal is not to make more money so you can spend more money. The goal is to build enough assets that one day you get to decide what you want to do with the remaining years of your life. That is financial freedom.